Hi everybody, this is Father Warner D'Souza, and we continue with our study of the Gospel of Matthew. Today I want to take the text which is in the lectionary, which is Matthew chapter 18 verses 1 to 5, verse 10, 12 to 14. But in order to understand this text well, we will deal with the entire pericope starting from verse 1 to 14. We are now in the fourth of the five great discourses of Matthew. Chapter 18 is the community discourse addressed to Peter and the disciples, and it broadly deals with the community relations. The text opens with the disciples asking Jesus, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" The entire pericope must now be seen on the basis of this question and not through a modern day application of issues or our own interpretation. This question asked by the disciples is really a bit of an oddity. You won't be asking this question when twice before this, in rapid succession, Matthew chapter 16 verses 21 to 23 and Matthew chapter 17 verses 22 to 23, Jesus has declared his passion, death and resurrection. Perhaps what was bogging the minds of the disciples was the primacy of Peter. For Jesus in chapter 16 to 19 had declared him to be the rock. And now perhaps the others wanted to know where they stood on the charts of power. Jesus places a child in their presence as an answer to their questions. They were driven by the desire to be given status, and Jesus clearly demands that they change their mindset. Using a double negative, he insists they will never enter the kingdom of heaven if they are driven by such earthly titles and honors. Children in the first century Palestine were considered the lowest on the social strata. While they were loved and cared for, they certainly had no rights. Jesus was not asking the disciples to emulate the faith of the child, but rather become like a child who has no rights. In verse 5, Jesus humbles himself, identifying with a child who has no power, and wants the disciples to do the same. It is with this context in mind that we should read verses 6 to 9. The desire for power and position in the community is a stumbling block for others. This word, stumbling block, used 7 times in 4 verses, is translated in Greek as skandalizos, from where you get the English word scandal. The power struggle within the elders of the community becomes a countersign to Matthew's little ones, the new converts to the faith. Jesus advocates a watery grave with a millstone round the neck for such people. The millstone was to ensure that such thoughts would literally sink to the bottom of the sea, in the hope that such desire for power would never surface again. So, any part of the body, be it the eye, hand or foot, that drives the rest of the body towards the lust for power should be discarded, then have the entire body burnt in the fires of Gehenna. The word hell used in verse 9 was a reference to the valley of Gehenna, which was situated outside the city of Jerusalem, where the rubbish of the city burned constantly. The community discourse was thus meant to be a guidepost to the leaders of the church. It was their duty to ensure that their very behavior would shine like a light to the rest of the community and not scandalize the little ones. These little ones were not to be despised, but to be protected and defended from the forces of evil within and without. However, there was always a possibility of the sheep straying. Unlike Luke's gospel, where the sheep were lost, Matthew's gospel refers to the sheep that chooses to stray away. This perhaps was a reference to a community member who lost his faith or simply decided to be adventurous and move away. Technically, it is foolishness to leave 99 sheep vulnerable to wolves, while the shepherd goes in search of one lost. But this is exactly what Jesus desired. He desired us to risk all for the sake of one, in order to highlight how precious every soul in the community is. Jesus' desire for all of us is to have the right concern for every member of the community, especially those who have gone astray. If leadership in the church plays the number game, then we will be happy with the 99 and the seemingly packed church on a Sunday for Mass. We fail the Lord when we take comfort in a full house at Sunday Mass. Sadly, a count of the sheep may reveal that in the course of time, the number that strayed away is not one, but one too many. I thank you for watching these videos, and I would love if you could share this with your friends and your family. And as I always say, if you haven't subscribed, share this ministry, share the Word of God. Just go right now and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching.